Thank you for listening to this episode of No Such Thing as a Fish. If you are enjoying it, then please do consider joining Clubfish. It's an amazing exclusive place where you get ad-free episodes, lots of extra content, all sorts of stuff. And if you go to nosuchthingasafish.com, you can find out how to join today. Okay, on with the podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of No Such Thing as a Fish, a weekly podcast coming to you from the QI offices in Holborn. My name is Dan Schreiber. I am sitting here with Anna Tashinsky, Andrew Hunter-Murray, and James Harkin. Once again, we have gathered round the microphones with our 4 favorite facts from the last 7 days, and in no particular order, here we go. Starting with fact number 1, and that is Anna.
My fact this week is that ironing in Egypt is traditionally a man's job, and they do it with their feet.
Yes.
And that's why you shouldn't let men do the ironing.
Do they put the shirt on the ground, or do they put their foot on the board?
Yeah, good
And
questions.
also, do they use an iron? Or do they have really, really flat feet?
Hot, flat feet.
Well, it's in the desert, right? You just
Yes.
stand in the sand for 10 minutes until your feet get
Absolutely.
warm.
That's it. No, they use an iron, a normal iron. So these are people called the Makwagi, and the Makwagi Regal are specifically the foot ironers. Makwa means iron, and it's been going on for hundreds of years, and on every street corner you'd have a man who does your ironing. You take your ironing to him. It's passed down from fathers to sons, and traditionally was done with feet, so you'd have a big heavy iron. I read one reputable source saying that the irons can weigh 40 kilos.
What? 40 kilos?
I know, it doesn't seem plausible,
Do
does
they
it?
lift it with their feet? Or
Well, they just push it. And they look like a classic old iron. So they're just an iron that's heated over coals or in a stove, right? Like a big metal iron. They're not plugged in.
Not plugged in. Haven't got that little water button that you press or the steaming option.
Dan trying to pretend that ironing is a man's job in his household as well.
I think I can confidently say we all know I iron non-stop.
Dan is an obsessive... Dan and Andy, actually, I feel like you spend half your lives ironing. It's quite sad. But it's not sad when these guys do it.
And can I just say that I don't just let my wife do all my ironing. I just like to be creased.
In answer to your question about the spray, this is one of the coolest things. And I was going back to old 19th century sources when people visited Egypt and reported on it happening there. To spritz the garments so they're a bit wet, they spit. And so now these days, I think...
Terrific. Right. Does that cost extra?
There are accounts of the real pros, the real traditional ones, having just a continuous spray constantly coming from their lips.
But if you were walking the streets looking for someone to do your ironing, and presumably there might be a bunch of competition, what you want to see is just one old guy dribbling like crazy. And that's the one you go for, right? That's the best version.
How did this industry fare during COVID?
That's a really good question, and I forgot to investigate.
Actually, people used to spit on their irons in the UK as well.
Really?
Yeah. So we're talking from the 17th century onwards, we had something called sad irons. And sad meant solid in those days. So they were solid irons, and they're kind of pretty much, like when you play Monopoly and you're the iron. It's that kind of thing. So again, it's just like a piece of metal. You put it in the fire until it's hot enough, and then you would use it to iron things. And to find out when it was hot enough, you would spit on it. And if the spit sort of laid and frosted around and spat around on the iron, then you knew it was ready to go.
Interesting.
But you don't want it too hot, presumably, because then you burn your clothes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As well as the sand iron things, there were slug irons, which I like as well, where you have a slug of metal, literally just like an ingot of metal, that you put in the fire for ages, and you draw it out of the fire and shove it in the iron. And that makes it hot.
Nice.
There were rough irons. There's a thing called a goffering iron, where you could iron fabrics into a scalloped edge. So all those amazing Elizabethan ruffs?
Yes.
They had to be ironed into place, basically.
I do your first level ironing, which is I just want things flat and uncreased. But there is an art to ironing where you do put in these ruffles. You do put in the line on your trousers. I aspire to be there.
You'll put a crease in the shirt sleeve, though.
Yeah, you might do.
You've got to have a crease on a shirt
have a
sleeve.
crease. But here's the thing: back in the day, ironing wasn't just for getting your clothes to be uncreased; it was for cleaning as well. So there's reports of, let's say, during the Crimean War, there's a report there where cannonballs might be heated and used as a makeshift iron. And it wasn't so that people went, I want to look uncreased when I'm going into battle. It was because you would have things like lice living on your clothes that you want to get rid of. So it was burning it off, basically. So it was doing a double job.
It's very hard though to aim it correctly for an ironing job, so it just gets the ironing right.
Yeah.
It's a difficult method. Can I ask Dan, as the only other ironer in the room, I suspect, another question about this. What's your opinion on wrinkle-free shirts? Sorry, James. I mean, James is wearing a collared shirt now, and it looks actually very nice.
No. I've never really ironed any item of clothing since I left a proper job about 25 years ago.
Fair enough. And I live in hope of getting a proper job. And I'm constantly heading to interviews, so I do need those shirts ironed.
So what was the question again?
Would you wear a wrinkle-free shirt? Like a non-iron shirt? Because a lot of shirts sold these days are non-iron.
I definitely wore those when I was at university,
Yeah.
for sure. It was the one thing, if I went to a menswear shop, I would look to see if it would need an iron or not.
Really?
Yeah, and the
Why would you-
clip-on tie as well. To stop angry colleagues strangling you. That's very helpful.
I must admit, at university, when we went clubbing, we didn't always wear ties.
How were you let in? That's ridiculous.
You borrow one from the bouncer.
Right.
He opens his jacket. He's got a big rack of ties in there, and he picks one that goes with your complexion and shirt. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but so non-iron shirts are made with formaldehyde, or they certainly used to be.
Okay.
They've been treated with this special chemical, which means that they don't crease, which is very clever.
But they make you need to do a poo, right? We've talked before about how formaldehyde makes you need to poo.
That is true. I think the good thing is that the formaldehyde is locked into the shirt, so actually it doesn't do you any harm as the wearer. But the people who made it, people who worked in the non-iron shirt factories, they all got quite sick, I think.
Right.
Really?
I think there's a higher proportion of cancer in people who worked in those factories than in the general population.
Well, they don't sound like good resins that get used for them. I don't know whether they've ironed out these problems yet, but from what you're saying, James, it sounds like there might still be that might still be a thing.
The study with this of the incidence of cancer was 2009.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, ironing basically, okay, so let's say you've got a cotton shirt. It's made up of loads of fibers, chains of cellulose, and when you put it in the washing machine, the cellulose goes a bit wonky and it comes out and it's all creased. And the ironing works by loosening these cellulose threads, and when they're loose, when they're nice and
It's warm and relaxed.
then they can get into a line. You press them down and they'll stay in that line. That's how it works.
Interesting.
Okay.
But the non-iron ones, the formaldehyde basically locks those cellulose fibers in place.
When you join the army,
Yeah.
if you go to Sandhurst, which is a very, very posh British
Yes.
army
It's Prince Harry's place, wasn't
academy, probably went to Sandhurst, you have to carry in your own ironing board.
it? Really?
Yeah. And I asked a friend of mine who went to Sandhurst, and he said, yes, you do. Of course
Do
you do.
you?
He said, of course you
Interesting.
do.
Yeah. Bring your own ironing
Could you
board.
not share an ironing board between a barrack?
There's simply so much ironing to do. Ange.
Yeah.
You've got so many different kinds of uniform as a modern heroic action man type.
Okay, yeah.
And because they don't have so many cannonballs in warfare these days, you can't just wait for it to happen naturally.
It's
wonder
very
if
hard
the-
with a cruise missile to get a really crisp line on it.
I wonder if they're bulletproof or if like the fabric is Kevlar, because that is a fantastic defense shield that you could double up an ironing board with.
Yeah, it's basically human size, isn't it?
It is. That's a
Kind of.
human-sized shield.
You're suggesting people wear their ironing boards into battle?
Are we not talking about the front lines here? We're just talking about back at the barracks.
don't
Okay,
say
right. Here's a really British thing that I'd never heard of before that used to happen in the past with ironing. Some homes, and we still know a few examples of these homes, had a room for ironing newspapers.
Fantastic.
And this
That's
was
the dream. That is the dream.
Yeah, I read about this in Bill Bryson's book At Home, and it was featured, I think, in Downton Abbey. But the idea was before the master of the house would be given the newspapers, the butler would take it into the ironing room, and they would iron the newspapers, not for creases, but to make sure that the ink becomes dry and solid into the newspaper so they can wear their white gloves as they're leafing through the newspaper and not worry about ink smudging on them.
I didn't know that was why it was. I think I honestly always thought it was to make the newspapers nice and flat for the posh people.
We should say ironing's at risk.
What?
Sorry?
Ironing's at risk, big risk.
Right.
What?
From the youth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody youth.
30% of 18 to 34-year-olds, many of whom may be listening, don't own an iron and never do any ironing.
What do they do instead?
I don't know.
They do like me, just be wrinkled.
I think so, yeah. And they will claim things like their clothes don't need ironing.
They don't. Oh, mine don't, and James's don't.
Honestly, I would always wear mine flat. So what I would do is I would wash my shirt, and then just before it was dry, then I would start wearing it, and my natural body shape would flatten the shirt.
I mean, clever.
Well, you want it to the shape of your body. You do. I mean, that's the point, isn't it?
Right?
If you iron it to an unrealistic standard of a completely flat person, which is not what any of us are, of course it's going to crease.
My whole body is actually creased. When I'm naked, I have these terrible creases all over.
That's a good idea. Although a better version would be to put it on someone whose body you aspire to look like, so that when you get it back, you can feel what you want to eventually.
And your
not
body can
crinkle it.
iron itself into the shirt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of nightclubs,
Oh, yeah.
as I was, ironing boards are good for DJs. Let's say you're an aspiring DJ.
Yeah.
You're going to a house party.
Yeah.
You've got your decks, but you don't really want to bring a big old sort of like all the stand.
A mahogany table.
So what do you need? You need something that's flat, but also you need it to be a very certain height at decks. You don't want the decks to be up at your eye level or at your knee level. And the good thing about ironing boards is they're adjustable.
Yes.
There you go.
That's so cool.
So you look at interviews with DJs and they say, oh yeah, my first ever DJ gig was on an ironing
That's
board.
so funny. And if you pop a pair of pants under the decks, by the time your set's finished, they'll be lovely and crisp. That's a journey home.
Exactly.
Probably the heat of the decks.
Might do it.
Yeah.
That'll yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think in the future they'll be looking at these ironing boards and saying, did you know these used to be used for ironing? Before they became...
when everyone's a DJ.
The DJ boards, yeah.
And there is actually a guy called DJ Ironing Board who built his rig that fits perfectly on a normal ironing board, and he does festivals and stuff.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow. But, I mean, you've got to be careful. And that's so many times when I'm mid-iron, you hit the little handle underneath that sends the entire thing down. You don't want that.
How do you do that? I never have experienced
Happens
that.
to me non-stop.
I've never done.
No one else?
No.
Can I give you another use for an ironing board?
Yeah.
If you want to be Pope,
Okay. Quite
like,
niche.
well, for instance, the most recent guy who was Pope was Robert Prevost.
Oh, yeah.
Pope Leo XIV. And as a child, he played at being a priest by using the family's ironing board as an altar, according to his brother. So he would get the ironing board up, he would get a load of biscuits, and then put them there, and his family would come round, and he would give them a Kit Kat and say, Body of Christ.
Really?
Oh my God.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
And again, you can alter the altar as you're growing up. to a
Alter
better
the
height.
altar.
Brilliant.
So it's all
Amazing.
good.
I mean, they must have thought he was that was a pretty long shot when he was a kid doing the Kit Kat thing. But that's incredible. Like they're laughing on the other side of their face now, aren't they?
He works in mysterious ways.
This is good news for the world of ironing, because actually the last Pope, Francis, actively announced that ironing needed to stop in certain homes. So there was a question about all these Italian kids that weren't leaving home, and what do I do to get my son a job and get him out of the house? And the Pope said, stop ironing for him. And that was like huge
mums
consequence.
overlooking
The mums
looking after
Exactly.
their
Why
kids.
would he leave home? He's got his stuff being ironed every day by you. You're mollycoddling him.
An interesting thing to focus on as Pope, but they focused on worse, I suppose.
It turns out they're all obsessed.
Another great world leader who did a spot of ironing in her day.
Yeah.
Margaret Thatcher.
Really?
Even after she was an MP, she would iron her husband Dennis's shirts in Parliament.
During?
No, not on the floor of the House of Commons.
Okay.
Just on the dispatch box.
There is a desk there, actually, isn't there? Yeah.
I think it's wooden. I think that would be very bad for it.
Yeah, you're right. No, there was a ladies' room, and this was a time when there were fewer female MPs than there are now. So there was a need for women to have like their own space in Parliament. And it had an ironing board in it, and she frankly monopolised that iron.
Well, she was a fan of Monopolies. Yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That's the best Thatcher ironing Monopolies joke you'll hear on any podcast this week.
This week.
But if you listen to Off Menu next week,
I can't do that.
Okay, it is time for fact number 2, and that is Andy.
My fact is that 900 years ago, England beat Scotland in a battle with an earth horn superweapon which scattered the Scots by frightening their cows. A lot to unpack.
Yeah.
What's an earth horn?
Glad you asked. It's not a common thing anymore. This was word of the day on the OED website the other day. Highly recommended. You know, if you're listening to this, just go over to the Oxford English Dictionary website and see what the word of the day is. And this is earth horn. I think this was the first and maybe last time it was used.
Okay.
Yes.
So
it's hapax legomenon,
yeah.
as in there's only one mention of it in the whole of literature.
Whole of, I know. Wow. So, yeah. So it didn't take off, basically, this earth horn, like, secret weapon, whatever it was. Seems to have been a big horn.
Despite working, apparently.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And the other thing to say as well is it was only mentioned once, and that was in 1338, and it referred to a battle that happened in 1138.
Yes.
Okay.
So
It's like the 200th anniversary of this battle.
finally we're going to uncover this secret weapon that we used. No one's mentioned it before now.
And again, it's not completely clear from the OED source why frightening the cows was a key factor in the end of the battle.
Okay. Well, give us everything we know about it then from the
We
description.
don't know a huge amount
That's
about
it.
this battle.
A thing called
we
an
don't know
earth
anything
horn.
we don't know anything about the earth horn. Definitely.
We don't know if it was a sound. I mean, horn implies it.
Yeah,
And what
yeah.
do we know why Earth? Is it made of Earth? Comes from the
I
Earth?
can't stress enough. This was 900 years ago. As James says, first recorded 200 years later for the first and last time. We really don't know much about it. This is my challenge fact for the week.
Okay.
As I said, it happened in 1138. So what was going on?
What was going on was 1,000 years of conflict between England and Scotland, on and off, but quite a lot of on. So what I found was the earliest battle recorded between Angles and the Scots/Picts. That was in 596 AD.
Wow.
And the last battle between England and Scotland as completely independent kingdoms was... When was it? That was 1547.
And
Yeah.
this particular one that we're talking about, the Battle of Northallerton, also known as the Battle of the Standards, this was that time when Henry had died, Matilda was maybe going to be our queen, Stephen was maybe going to be the king. There was a whole load of conflict about who was going to take over, and the Scots were on the side of Matilda. And a lot of the barons in England were on the side of Stephen, and so there was a big old battle because the Scots wanted to help out, because Matilda was the daughter of a Scottish king.
I read that this battle took place on Cowton Moor.
Jesus.
Isn't that
Dan,
interesting?
come
That is interesting. Moor.
Do you want to emphasize that again?
Cowton Moor.
Yeah.
You didn't want to stress the cow part.
Well, that was obvious. The moo was going to be a bit more difficult.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good, Dan.
Yeah,
I
that's very
didn't
good.
notice that.
Given there were lots of cows.
Absolutely.
At the battle.
Yeah. We talked about this when David Mitchell was on the podcast.
This
It
era
was-
we did, yeah.
Yeah, if you've got your English history Kings and Queens ruler, it's the bit that goes Willy, Willy, Harry, Steve. It's the Steve bit of
Yeah.
this, King Stephen.
And if you've got the ruler that goes all the way forward, and just to emphasise how much the Scots and the English didn't like each other back then, and obviously it's all water under the bridge now, but between 1040 and 1745, 33 out of the 36 English monarchs either invaded or were invaded by Scotland, which
Get
is
out.
strong. It's a strong record, isn't it?
So it's a long old skirmish.
I know.
Although it could have all been avoided, or the worst bits could have been avoided, if it weren't for just a small diplomatic cock-up. So the worst phase, and with all the famous battles like your Bannockburns and your Mel Gibsons, was the 13th and 14th centuries, and that was the Wars of Independence. And it all kicked off when Alexander III of Scotland dies in the early 1290s. And there are these two guys, John Balliol and Robert Bruce, who was the grandfather of the famous Robert Bruce.
Sorry,
Who
was one Robert the Bruce and the other one was just Robert Bruce?
Yeah, that was his middle name.
Yeah. Well, you sometimes got to slip that in there to differentiate.
So no, there was a guy called John Balliol. There was a guy called Robert Bruce. Robert Bruce's grandson was also called Robert Bruce. He's the famous one who,
Okay.
for bad reasons, we now call Robert the Bruce. I think related to the fact that he was Robert de Bruce.
He's Braveheart, for anyone who knows that movie.
Yes, this is Mel Gibson's granddad, Robert Bruce.
Exactly.
Right.
They couldn't decide who was going to be king, so they asked Edward I of England, as their neighbour and friend, as an impartial observer, to say which one of us should be king.
Mad decision.
And
Right.
Edward I thought, great, here's my chance. And he said, okay, I'll do that. But first of all, I need to have legal authority over Scotland, to have this kind of authority to decide who's king. And so, little legal loophole, he gave himself authority over all of Scotland. And then the rest is history. He just started getting in the way all the time. And what a cock up.
Yeah. Berwick upon Tweed is
Mm.
the... Now, if you're heading north from England to Scotland, it's pretty much the last English town you pass through.
If you're heading on the East Coast.
If you're heading on the East Coast, absolutely.
Sorry, a big fan of the West Coast main line over here.
I love the West Coast main line. But for international listeners, let's simplify. I just say it's the last town before Scotland. So, Berwick-upon-Tweed, a very, very northern English town. It has changed hands 13 times over the last 1,000 years. I mean, mostly centuries ago. And all the times it changed hands, it wasn't just being captured in battles. So in 1174, Scotland gave it to England because William I had been captured, and that was part of the ransom. Is like, we want Berwick-upon-Tweed. Then 20 years later, Scotland bought it back because King Richard needed money for a crusade. They're like, what can I flog off? Oh, I'll sell Berwick-upon-Tweed. The Scots love that. For about 200 years, once every 15 years, it changed hands.
Do you think they ever knew? The people in Berwick-upon-Tweed going about their lives, do you think they ever knew?
They just say they're from Berwick.
Yeah.
A lot of people there just say, I'm a Berwicker, you know.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Derek Sharman, who's a local historian, who says this a lot.
Derek from Berwick.
Derek from Berwick.
Berwick-upon-Tweed.
He says that basically... He says basically that they're all just Berwickers. And actually, if you're from north of the river and south of the river, that's kind of a distinguishable sort of almost nationality as well.
Oh, is it? That's where the next big civil war's happening, isn't it? Edward I, who was, the famous antagonist, the Hammer of the Scots.
Hammer of the Scots.
Longshanks, lots of nicknames. He is still in Westminster Abbey, buried just in a very plain lead casket, not with the normal regalia of English monarchs.
Is that to not upset the Scots?
It's the absolute opposite, James. It's because...
Oh, no.
Is it to properly wind them up?
To really fucking piss them off. No, I think it would give the Scots, it would gratify them, because basically he said, I don't want to be buried properly until the Scots are finally conquered. And they haven't yet finally been conquered. And so no one's yet exhumed him and buried him in a proper
Did they not
casket.
consider when we beat them in Euro 96 2-1 with that Paul Gascoigne goal?
People were battering away at Westminster Abbey with spades.
How interesting. Yeah, Edward I, the really interesting thing about him is the siege of Stirling Castle, when he got this enormous trebuchet built. So a trebuchet is like a catapult, and it was called the War Wolf. It was 90 metres tall. It took 3 months to build. And the Scots, when they saw it sort of trundling up, they went, oh, shit. And they said, it's okay, we surrender.
Really?
That's so
And
funny.
King Edward went, oh, no, I spent 3 months making this now. And so he attacked them anyway, even though they surrendered.
Yeah, didn't he? It was basically going, okay, I'm just going to test it, though. And you're not allowed to leave the castle until the test is over.
Good Lord.
Pretty wild. Well, it's a great name,
wild.
the Warwolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is cool.
You don't want to waste work like that, do you? You can see its point.
We'll just
Yeah.
wheel it on to the next place.
I tell you what, the Warwolf was good against this castle, but it was even better up against the castle made of sticks and the castle made of straw.
Hey.
Get it? I get it.
Yeah.
One of the chief nobles who led the Scottish rebellions after Edward I's little land grab there, he was called Andrew de Moray, or Andrew Murray.
Oh, really?
He was like the other William Wallace.
He was the one who wasn't William Wallace, basically. Yeah,
That's Damore.
Bannockburn is where
Freedom.
freedom was won.
That was
for-
the moment?
Mel
For
Gibson.
Andrew Murray here,
William-
then deceased,
Yeah.
but
Was it you or was it William Wallace?
I think I was dead by this point.
Right.
You were-
I think
you
there was
were.
an earlier battle where I did very, very well, by the way, but then I got injured and died.
it was Stirling Bridge, in fact, sadly.
Yeah.
That so would be on your tombstone, Andy. Did very well, actually.
Red like a 4-star battle.
When you're killed in a fight, but you still did all right, that's de Moray. Just so many battles over the centuries. It's kind of insane. Scotland had a huge role in what gets called the English Civil War, which turns out we shouldn't call the English Civil War. It should be called the War of the Three Kingdoms.
Okay.
Is that the War of the Roses, or is it the War of the Roundheads versus Cavaliers?
That one. So
Right.
War of the Roses ends in 1485 with
Battle of
Richard III and Battle of Bosworth and Henry VII taking over. What gets called the English Civil War is the 1640s, basically. It started partly because Charles I, who was basically a useless, imagine a useless king.
Oh, you
useless-
bought the Cromwell Kool-Aid, haven't
he's
you?
just some, big floppy rough, suspicious continental
Ooh.
practices. People worried he was a Catholic. That
Imagine
kind
the
of stuff.
ironing it took to get that right.
He had tried to interfere with the Church of Scotland, and he'd tried to impose his own prayer books on the Kirk
Oh, dear.
in 1637. This went down phenomenally badly. It led to a thing called the Bishops' Wars, We're just like ecclesiastically.
They all attack diagonally.
Superb. So that's the best bishop this week.
I don't know. You haven't heard Parenting Hell this week, have you, Andy?
And Scotland got so angry about this prayer book difference that they occupied northern England, and he had to not only back down, he had to pay expenses, which is so humiliating after a war. You know?
Pay expenses? What, like we bought these train tickets to get down to Leeds?
Pretty much,
Can you?
yes.
Really?
Yeah, right.
Excuse me, £10.60 at Pret. Who was this,
It was a
guys?
sandwich and a drink. It's expensive these days. So Charles then had to ask for money from Parliament because of the war debt that had been imposed, and that helped kick off the entire Civil War period. And then at the end of it, the English execute Charles.
Yeah.
Cromwell comes in, and the Scots are furious, and that leads to another battle because they were so angry about, as they saw it, their king getting his head chopped off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know this William Wallace period, Robert the Bruce? Robert the Bruce, don't hear too much about him these days, but he influenced something great in modern popular culture. Someone was named after him.
Someone was named after Robert Bruce. Bruce Forsyth.
No.
Bruce Springsteen.
No.
Robert...
Mugabe.
Okay.
Are we saying that's popular culture?
Oh, his middle name, Winnie the Pooh.
No, it's Bruce, and it is in the world of fiction.
Bruce Almighty.
No.
Bruce.
Who's the most famous Bruce?
Bruce Dickinson.
The guy from Matilda, the fat kid.
Yes, Anna.
Bruce Banner from the Hulk.
You're so close.
Bruce.
Superhero?
Bruce. Is he Australian?
Oh, Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne.
Christ, that's a
Who's
good.
Bruce Wayne?
What do you mean, who's Bruce Wayne? Oh, you only know Batman. Okay, so Batman. Bruce Wayne is Batman? Okay, it is time for fact number 3, and that is my fact. My fact this week is that in 1999, the first ever TV ad made for cats was broadcast on ITV and had an estimated viewership of 3 million cats.
3 million.
3 million.
Well, the numbers...
Because the number you sent around was 7 million.
Yeah, but then I did some additional research.
Interestingly, I have 2 million.
I have
written on
2 million
mine.
as well.
Yeah, I've had to go over my numbers quite a few times. Basically, this was a commercial that was put together by Whiskers, the cat food people, and they wanted to put something together that was specifically for cats. And so they asked someone what would generate a cat's interest, and it turns out an incredibly surreal 40-second animation full of weird ping noises, little sounds, a mouse running up, a line going up and down the screen, very random stuff. And they made a big deal out of it. It was a big promo thing.
Yeah.
And on the 27th of January, 1999, there was an announcement just before it was coming on, a pre-ad to say, we're about to play the first ever ad for cats. Get your cat. Let's do this.
I think it was also announced in like the newspapers and stuff
Yeah.
beforehand because I remember it happening.
They had to advertise the advert. It's
Well,
quite
it was-
clever, really,
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
get publicity out of the fact you're doing an advert. That's very
Yeah.
hard to do.
It won a lot of awards basically for innovation of getting the interest of the people to make sure that their cats were in. Now, the numbers are dodgy, obviously. 1999 was a period where it went from viewership to households. So you don't know how many people would be in a household.
Hey.
So 2.2 people per household roughly is what the ratings would suggest we're watching.
How many cats?
How many
per
cats?
house-
Well, hang on, guys. Don't jump
Sorry.
ahead on the numbers, okay? So we know what the numbers were of the viewing figures that night. It was 18,520,000. That's what we're watching. However, that's viewers, not households, right? Okay, so if we're talking houses that might have a cat in it, we've got to look at houses.
Right.
Yeah. So let's 2.2 people. So you got to bring that down, that number, basically split that number in half, right?
Yeah.
Then it wasn't just shown on ITV that night. It was also shown on Channel 4 and Channel 5. So we need to add those in. So that's 21.2 million viewers. Split that in half. It's roughly 10.6.
I'm not counting the Channel
households.
5 viewers because I remember Channel 5 in the 90s and it was too blurry to make anything out.
Okay.
They didn't see any of those images.
And how many did contain a cat, I suppose,
Well,
is the next
at
question.
that time, it's estimated that a quarter of all houses in the UK had cats.
And then what percentage of households invited their cats into the room to watch when it happened?
And do they have one cat or two cats? So most houses had 1.6 cats. So you then got to add those.
It was a
numbers
gruesome
in.
time, the 90s.
Yeah. So roughly, when you add all those numbers together, in theory, there could be roughly around 3 million cats
Okay.
that were in front of a screen in
So
the rooms.
are you having 3 million as your number?
I'm going to go for 3 million because I'm also going to add in the fact it was played in America, and so those numbers are going to add
Okay.
up.
Can I say I think the number might be 3,000,001 because I let Harley watch it this week.
Oh, really?
My cat. And if you want to know what she thought of it, then go on my TikTok or Instagram because I'll put the video up.
Oh, that's very exciting.
A little ad for another format within our show. You're doing what the cat people did.
Yeah, no such thing as James Harkin. Get on there.
Wow, that's very good. It was considered a success. So successful, they released it on video, VHS. And I actually found it on eBay. So this is it, the first ever commercial for cats.
Oh my God.
Officially released by Whiskers, an old VHS.
Wow.
And it
Why
reads...
is everyone calling it the first ever as though now we are inundated by cat adverts?
Well, perhaps at the time they thought this is going to be massive, right? So the back says, thousands of cats across the length and breadth of Britain. Jumping, staring.
It could have been thousands of thousands.
Thousands of cats. So 1 in 1,000 viewers of the advert had any reaction whatsoever.
So we don't know the numbers,
don't know.
They've just muddied the waters even more.
Amazing.
That's advertising.
Yeah, but it did good for them. It did really good.
Oh, yeah. You know what else did well for Whiskers? 8 out of 10 cats. That's one of theirs.
Yeah.
What do you mean
That's
it's
their
one of
slogan,
theirs?
isn't it?
Yeah,
Slogan.
so there's a TV show, 8 out of 10 cats, and 8 out of 10 cats does countdown, but that came from a slogan by Whiskers, which was 8 out of 10 cats prefer our product. And they
Really?
ran it for quite a lot of years until the Advertising Standards Authority encouraged them to change it. And they changed it to 8 out of 10 owners who expressed a preference said that their cat prefers it. And the problem was that basically they'd been doing this 8 out of 10 cats for ages and everyone knew it at the time. And then they went up to 9 out of 10 cats. So they did a survey in 2001 and they thought that actually now it's 9 out of 10. And when they did that, the people at Friskies, who is another cat food company, said, oh, we're not having this. And they went to the ASA and they said that this is a biased survey and, it wasn't a fair
Well, if
reflection.
it's 8 out of 10 owners who expressed a preference, that leads to other questions, doesn't it? How many owners express a preference?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But does this mean that Jimmy Carr has to change the title of the show as well? Surely.
Yeah, let's do it.
Good
Yeah.
call. Let's get in contact. They were very good, Whiskers, by the way, with their promotion in 1999 specifically. So over in Australia, there was an Aussie rules footballer called Gary Hocking who changed his name by depol to Whiskers. And the idea was that as he was playing, they had no choice but to say, oh, Whiskers has got the ball. They were
Did
being
they
paid.
do that or did they just use his old name? Like, that's what happens when football teams change the name of their stadium to a company name. People just call it the old name.
Yep, the AFL were very against calling him Whiskers and really stuck to Gary Hocking. They were paid a couple of $100,000 in order to advertise them generally, and this was a sort of extra move by Gary Hocking because he thought it's going to be funny, and it made news stories. It did the job right. Like, that's all that this needs to do.
It's like when the snooker player Jimmy White changed his name to Jimmy Brown to advertise HP sauce.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
One of us should change our names to something.
I've changed my name years ago to Maserati, but no one... they keep asking me to stop. No one here uses it. Nightmare.
Videos actually look crap to cats. This TV advert would have looked rubbish because they see so much better than us. They see about 100 frames a second, so we only need to see 20 frames a second for stuff to look smooth to us. And I think
Interesting.
TV is about 24, or TV is 30 and films are 24. So to cats, it's just going to look like a series of photographs.
So cat videos in general, can you think of a famous role that was inspired by cat videos?
Catwoman.
Well, there's no fun if you're going to get it immediately. When Anne Hathaway,
No,
the
was it
actress,
really?
she played
Oh my
Catwoman.
God. It's just because we did the Batman thing.
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
But Catwoman isn't an actual cat.
Well, no, but she...
Come on, Anne.
Look, she's got to justify her fee somehow, Anna. So she's going to say, well, I spent a couple of weeks looking at cat videos online, so that'll be another £1 million.
When Daniel Day-Lewis went for the same part, he just sat there licking his ass for 3 weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Day-Lewis. We've actually received enough half mice.
But that
We're
was...
going with Hathaway. I'm sorry. She fits the suit better.
That's been done by a bunch of them. Tom Holland studied the movements of a spider in order to...
Such shit.
Robert Downey Jr. watched ironing videos non-stop.
It's something to say in an interview, isn't it? You run out of stuff to say in interviews, yeah.
I read a really good article. It was like an inside look at the Waltham Pet Care Science Institute in Melton Mowbray, which is the science arm of Mars Pet Care, which is where all of our pet food comes from.
Okay.
Mars makes it all. They go to such great lengths to look after their cats there and to test really advanced foods on them. They found out that cats prefer Asian cuisine because their favourite flavours are, well, you can probably guess.
Plum sauce.
Plum sauce, the sixth flavour, yeah.
Umami.
And the new one, kokumi.
Kokumi, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. For those of us not up on our flavours, what's that?
So it's, I think it's like fullness and richness.
Yeah.
Kokumi. Yeah, they keep that.
It's not like a flavour so much as an enhance. I know it is officially a flavour, but it's like enhances salty things and.
Is
Yeah.
it like MSG?
No, that's umami.
Yeah.
Okay.
And once all the cats are tested on at Melton Mowbray at this site, they get taken home and adopted by one of the people who work there.
Wow.
And
In other words, they get turned into pot pies. Yeah, we know what you mean.
they're very good owners to the extent that one of the research scientists called Scott McGrain adopted a cat and then noticed when he took it home that the cat was a bit perplexed by his telly because they had never seen one before. And since then, they've installed loads of TVs, a TV room for the cats there.
Why?
So that when they get adopted, they don't get confused by TVs.
Is that a massive, safeguarding welfare thing for cats being confused by TVs
Yes,
when they go to their forever home? Is that really a problem for them?
The RSPCA is clamping down, yes.
Oh, can I just say, Scott McGrain is very much a name you would come up with if you were trying to come up with a name for a Scottish person and failing.
I do hope someone says, Scott, you've been mentioned on the show this week. God. Listen in.
You know, cats falling off things
Yeah.
and flipping the right way up and landing on their feet.
Yeah, they land on their feet.
So this was a physics puzzle for much of the 19th century, how it happens. Because there was a scientist called George Gabriel Stokes. James, you did maths. You may have heard of him.
Yeah, Stokes' equation. I've
Right.
heard of that. Yeah, it's about fluid mechanics or something.
Okay, perfect. So he was a Lucasian professor of maths at Cambridge, and other holders of the role were people like Isaac Newton, Stephen Hawking.
Hawking, yeah,
So
that's a big suit.
big brain, George Gabriel Stokes. He and his colleague James Clerk Maxwell, another big physics name, they were there at the same time, and they could not work out. Right, cats, if you drop them, they fall onto their feet. How? Because they seem to be violating the law about the conservation of angular momentum, which is
see.
if something rotates, it has to have something to rotate against, which rotates the opposite way, right?
Yeah, got it.
So how does the cat rotate with nothing to push
So,
against?
let's say you jump off a diving board.
Yeah.
You've pushed off against that and you use that kind of momentum to twizz round in the air.
Exactly.
But if the cat's just falling, how do they do that?
What? Yeah, exactly.
Can
How
I
is it
just ask
pushing
a
against the
further
air?
clarifying question? If I didn't dive off the diving board, if I let myself just fall forward,
Yeah.
can I swing around to my back
I
mid-fall?
think Andy's about to answer.
Right.
Yeah. But the judges will mark you down for that.
I've just proved Maxwell's theorem.
2-0. So this was so interesting. Like, how on earth are they doing it? It turns out what the cats do as they start to drop, right? It uses its own mass to rotate around. How? It flips in its forelegs, it pulls them in, and that means, like a gymnast, its top half spins faster. Then it flips out its forelimbs and it flips in its back limbs, and now its back half is revolving faster.
Yeah.
And it like switches back and forth between those two, so it creates its own momentum.
Amazing.
Using its limbs like an athlete. So that is how the cat rotates.
And
It's
it
a
can
lot.
do that as quick as falling off
Yes.
this table that we're recording.
It's stunning.
Yeah, right.
I mean, so quickly. In 1998, there was an Italian researcher who dropped a cat called Esther 600 times and determined that...
RSPCA have to get involved at some stage.
They're too busy with the telly thing.
What are you in for? Introducing a cat to a home without briefing it about the TV.
Me? Oh no, I dropped mine 600 times.
Anyway, came to the very important conclusion. She could fall on her feet when she was dropped from anywhere between 2 and 6 feet, but not from 1 foot. So it's only from 2 feet up they can do all this mad,
amazing.
weird gymnastics in the air.
And I read the same thing, Anna. It was so good. He dropped Esther from the height of 1 foot 100 times in a row to make sure she definitely couldn't do it.
Right.
And she didn't land on her feet once.
yeah.
It's much bigger than the sample size that you statistically need.
He did write in his paper, I want to thank the cat Esther for her initial cooperation in this experiment.
Oh dear.
So we didn't get an answer to my question. Would, if I fell off a diving board, do humans have the muscles to do what cats do?
I'll hand over to James, who's got a physics degree.
I think that you would not be able to do that.
Right.
Maybe not fast
But
enough.
I would think if you trained for long enough, you might be able to, because the physics is there, right? It is possible, but I think it would take training, right?
Because you're not flexible enough. Like we can't shift our
think
bodies
so,
like
yeah.
a cat. Because they have got not extra vertebrae, but you know what I mean. They can move. They can
Very flexible.
Yeah.
They're very flexible. Yeah.
I think, with training, the way I thought of it, and I think I skimmed it more than Andy, so this is probably wrong, but I thought of it as like squeezing a cat like a sponge.
Yep.
You know, when you squeeze a sponge out, you have to turn it in 2 different directions at once, don't you? And that's the only way that it's going to be able to twist around its...
Okay,
Oh, right.
so Dan, stand up.
Yeah.
How easy is it for you to twist your top half in one direction and your bottom half in the other direction? Yeah, you see, like, this part... Oh, dear.
Ow.
Uh-oh.
Holy moly.
Oh, wow. I'm really...
doing up there?
Dan, that is going to be the TikTok craze, dance craze of 2025.
Did you film it, James? Can I make a cameo?
That is amazing.
Ow.
Sorry about that, Dan.
No, that's fine.
Do you think if you were sat holding a cat right now,
Yeah.
and I took a photo and then we put it on your dating profile, people would find you more attractive or less attractive? Let's say women.
Okay, well, first off, my wife doesn't know about that account, so let's... I'd say they think you're more attractive.
With a cat?
I
Absolutely.
would say maybe less.
Yeah. Anna?
As the woman in the room, I'm going to say less.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Women
significantly.
view men as less masculine, higher in neuroticism, agreeableness, and openness, but less dateable.
No wonder I'm not getting
Yeah.
those swipes.
Friend material.
Less flexible. No, it doesn't say that.
And is there like a league table of animals? Like if I pose with a water vole, am I
Oh, yeah.
or a mink or
Koala must be a
Do you
good one.
remember when you did your first Edinburgh show and I wanted you to do a poster where you were completely naked but with a water bowl over your privates and we were going to call it Socks and Gloves and Cock and Bowl?
Yeah, I do.
Why did you never go for
Why'd
that?
you not do that?
I just ran out of time on the shoot day. It's such a shame. I had the vole. Yeah. Can I ask James a question?
Yeah.
As the cat owner in the room.
Yeah.
Do you own a cat owner? No.
Have done in the past.
Okay. But as a current cat owner, James, would you buy a matching outfit for yourself and your cat?
No, my cat only wears what God gave her.
Okay.
And she insists on it being ironed every day, doesn't she? So it's very different.
No, I would never buy clothes for animals, really.
Then you're part of the 9 in 10 in your age group who would not buy a matching outfit for yourself and your
Good.
cat. Whereas a third of 19 to 28-year-olds would do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Instagram generation,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Would they be able to get the clothes on the cat, though? That's my question. I
don't know.
think
Hey,
they
it depends
could.
on the clothes, doesn't it, as well? If it's a shapeless sort of burnous or a muumuu or something, it might be quite easy.
I don't know what either of those things are.
I don't know why the two items of clothing that came to my mind were a burnous or a muumuu.
What is a burnous?
It's a sort of North African desert carp, isn't it? Like Lawrence of Arabia might have got around in a burnous.
You know, have you ever seen that show, Mr. and Mrs., where you write it down and your partner's going to have to guess what you said? 1-2 items of clothing. As Andy...
I'm going to go for shirt and pants. I'm afraid not. He went for burnous and muumuu.
You must be kicking yourself.
Okay, it is time for our final fact of the show, and that is James.
Okay, my fact this week is that America's Nudist of the Year, 1973, who also invented a contraption that allowed him to sunbathe in sub-zero temperatures, was a man called Dick Bacon.
The name's Bacon. Dick Bacon. What a guy.
Yeah.
Dick
What a
Bacon
character.
is an absolute legend. So I found this in an obituary of Dick Bacon.
Damn it.
He's-
You always find out about these people too late, right?
He spent his life on Lake Michigan sunbathing, and anyone who has been to Lake Michigan or lives there knows that in the winter it gets very, very cold. But the newspapers said that he set up a series of reflective shields to protect him from the wind, and inside the temperature would get high enough for him to tan.
Still going to be pretty cold, though, isn't it? And he was naked, wasn't he?
He was actually usually bathed in a small swimsuit.
Oh, okay.
But that was just to keep on the right side of the law, and he definitely preferred to be nude. He began his nudism when he was 25. He worked as a live model at the University of Wisconsin. but he didn't want tan lines. He thought it was unfair on the people drawing him that they had to draw in the tan lines. So he thought, well, I'm just going to not wear any clothes anymore.
That's amazing. And he basically just went, okay, how do I make it so that every single day I can be out there all year round? So he worked in a brewery. He always took the second and third shifts in there. So he always had the morning free. So he was a morning.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so just every day, go get the sun as it's going up. He married someone, and he had this line that I just absolutely love. He met this girl, and she said, "What's your name?" And he replied, "Bacon. Want a strip?" And that works on two levels.
Yeah.
I think.
Like a strip of bacon.
Yeah.
And strip as in take your clothes
I'm a
off.
nudist.
Yes.
Let's go strip. Oh, it's just a wonderful double entendre.
Yeah.
It's very strong.
That is good. In fact, it's better than fancy some porking. It's better than that.
It is better than that. Yeah. He won Nudist of the Year in 73, like I said, but he won that by accident.
No, stop.
Okay.
He did.
It's too far.
He did. He just so happened to be in this place called Naked City when the competition was taking place. He didn't deliberately go there for the competition. And he said after his win, they interviewed him in the newspapers, and they said that he was aiming to reach his natural colour. Although the Daily Herald, where I read this, said that he was already a deep red.
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea of having a natural colour is a bit weird, isn't it? As in, do we have a natural colour?
Yeah, good point.
Because you tan, it depends whether you've been in the sun or not.
Yeah, exactly.
no.
I feel like my natural colour is incredibly pale, but that's only because I haven't been in the sunshine.
Well, you're looking tan today, I would say.
Well, I'm trying to sort that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's why I've got this burnoose with me. He was arrested a lot, Mr. Bacon.
He was, yeah.
For nude bathing and lewd and lascivious behaviour. But he was a campaigner. He was saying this isn't harming people. This is a natural, healthy, almost sporting way of living in harmony with the elements. And I completely back that.
And he was in very good shape. In fact, I was recently on a partially nudist beach, not by choice.
That's just a beach, isn't it?
You were on a partially nudist beach, not by choice. The story, the plot is thickening.
I was on a beach where a lot of people weren't nudists, including myself, but there were a lot of nudists. And it's completely fine, but they're not all in amazing shape, whereas he was like a gladiator, wasn't he?
Yeah, I guess you would be if you've won all the awards that
Well,
he has.
he
right?
won Mr. Nude America. He won Mr. Nude Apollo, Mr. Nude Galaxy.
Are any of these awards big awards?
The Galaxy? Yeah, Anna. I think it might be.
Yeah.
You know, if you put Factor 50 sun cream on,
Yes.
will it stop your skin aging?
Guess so, probably.
Or make it age more slowly? Nothing can stop your skin aging, guys.
Well, I would have thought that UV rays might age your skin, and so the lotion might stop that.
Yeah, get you more leathery, right?
They absolutely do age your skin, but only UVA waves. So what they don't tell you on the sun creams is that when they say the factor, UV rays are split into UVA and UVB, and it's basically about the wavelengths. So UVB have shorter wavelengths, and they're the ones that cause sunburn, and they're the most carcinogenic. So when you've got Factor X sun cream, it's just blocking the UVB rays, reducing them. But it doesn't refer to UVA, and they're the ones that cause skin aging. They're the ones that go deeper and make you wrinkly and crusty. So you need to look at the star rating as well if you want to not go wrinkly and crusty.
I've never seen a star rating on my sun cream.
They often don't have them.
Do they not?
If they don't have a star rating, does that mean they don't protect against the UVA?
I believe it does. Yeah.
Whoa.
Careful.
Okay, can I run a tanning practice past you guys?
Yes, please.
Have any of you heard of, or you two, done testicle tanning?
Jesus Christ. Was it last week or the week before when you were talking about perineum tanning?
This is
Yeah.
testicle tanning is completely different.
Okay.
This is actually, it's not sunlight. You don't have to go down to the beach and bury yourself.
I do that, but I always iron mine first as well. It does take one of those 40-kilogram irons to get them flat.
This is actually, it's not even a real tanning. It's a very dubious medical
Of course,
thing.
it must be.
It's just blasting red light at your knackers and claiming that it'll improve your testosterone and a load of male energy and hormones and stuff. And
And people are doing this, are they?
I
In
mean,
their bucket loads?
not. Thankfully, I don't think it's very popular, but it is the kind of thing that a load of dubious Americans have basically glommed onto and started saying is a good idea, and it's not.
Well,
Don't do
unless you want to save the poor life drawing class, which apparently was Dick Bacon's motivation. Who can't draw 2 shades of skin colour. Well, this is very similar to perineum tanning.
Which we did talk about a couple of weeks ago.
Friend of the podcast.
Very scientifically.
But I wasn't there, and so I insist on revisiting it. And there was something I found interesting about this, because it's mostly obviously just a TikTok nonsense thing, where there's like one person who says it's a really good thing to expose your bumhole to the sun, and after 30 seconds you get the same benefits you get exposing your body for a day, and it's nonsense.
Yep.
And there is Josh Brolin, the actor, put a thing up saying, don't...
So he's Thanos in Avengers. And
Yes.
yeah, No Country for Old Men. He's in that, if you want to picture his face.
Yes, and he put a thing up that...
That is the part of him I want to picture, I must admit, in this fact.
Thanos, more like.
He said, don't try this on your Thanos, because I did it and my pocket hole is crazily burnt. I mean, he obviously didn't. He's taking the piss. I assume he's not an insane person. But what I quite like is that, conspiracy theories always come from a kernel of truth. And the woman who started this said it's an ancient Taoist practice to bathe your bumhole in the sun. And actually, it does come from this idea in Taoism. So Taoism is like ancient Chinese philosophy, basically. And that Hui Yin is the collection point of all yin energy in your body. And that is your perineum. So all of yin, you've got yin and yang, the two opposing forces that work together. Yin is all gathered in your perineum. And they do believe that it's good to bathe in sunlight and moonlight for wellness. And so, there's a kernel of truth in this bollocks.
Yeah.
Brazil, home of great tanning culture.
Oh,
Yeah.
Do you know what the fashionable bikini is to wear in Brazil at the moment?
Is it like a full body, like a burkini, but it's very, very stiff, so your arms go out like Christ the Redeemer?
Oh, wow.
Right, it's a starched burnous, effectively.
Is it, like Brazilian?
Yeah.
You would think, very thongy.
It's very thongy.
Oh, is it that Borat one? Is
It's
it that
not
thing?
the mankini.
Not the mankini.
What's it made of? What fabric is it made of?
Cashmere.
No. I love it. I love it. A mink thong.
I know, spider silk. Just one piece of spider silk up the crack.
Oh, you'll really feel that. The aim of it is to give you incredibly crisp tan lines.
So something that blocks all of the...
It blocks really
So
effectively.
like a lead or a hazmat suit.
I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
It's electrical tape.
Do you give yourself a Brazilian when you take it off?
Well, what you need is this thing, the Máquina de Fita, the little tape mark. And you go to a salon, they will literally tape a bikini onto you, and they'll give you a little bit of fabric for your nips and stuff like that.
Of course, because I was thinking like lead is the same as a swimming costume. They all block it, but what you need is for your body not to be able to shift underneath it at all. Is that
Exactly.
right?
So it's just that one bit of skin that is covered with the fabric.
So you
And-
could super glue your swimming costume to yourself as well.
Well, look, there are all sorts of roads to the answer. Yes, but this is
the biggie?
there are salons where you just go and people go up to the roof. You pay about £8, which includes a breakfast buffet. So I would do this. And I know.
That's cheaper than a travel lunch.
You're not going to
And they don't do anything to your nips.
You're not going to be beach body ready after a full English.
Yeah, and then people lie there and they spray you with water every now and again, and that's how you get those incredibly crisp lines.
Hey, sugar nips.
Thank you. Yes, sweetie possum. Yes, go on.
Do you know what sugar nips are? I read this today and I'd never heard it before.
No,
No.
I thought it was just something that how you used it just then.
Me too,
Say to your
right?
partner.
So sugar nips were like a little pair of scissors you would use. And if you had a block of sugar in your house, or a sugar loaf they would call it, in fact Sugarloaf Mountain just outside Rio, but you would have a sugar loaf on your table and you would use your sugar nips to nip off a little bit of sugar
That's
and then put it in your
incredible.
tea.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd never heard that before.
Because you guys know I like a rare bit of crockery,
I was
a
going to
cutlery.
say, I'm surprised and disappointed that you weren't familiar with them and in fact don't own a pair, Andy.
No.
Yeah, and I'm actually now regretting it because I could have bought you some for your birthday.
I'm going to hop straight on eBay after this to go with the asparagus tongs and the butter spade.
Probably when you Google sugar nips.
I'll take my
Safe
chances.
surf.
I'll take my chances.
Okay, that is it. That is all of our facts. Thank you very much for listening. If you'd like to get in contact with us about the things we've said over the course of this podcast, we can be found on our various social media accounts. I'm on Schreiberland on Instagram. James?
My TikTok, no such thing as James Harkin.
Andy?
I'm on Instagram at Andrew Hunter M.
And Anna, to get to us as a group, they go to...
You can go to Instagram at No Such Thing as a Fish, or at No Such Thing on Twitter, or email podcast@qi.com.
Yeah, and check out our website. We've got a kick-ass website, nosuchthingasafish.com. All our previous episodes are up there. There's lots of merch that you can buy up there. You can see if we're going to be doing any live shows in the coming year. Check it out there. And of course, there's Clubfish, which is our wonderful hidden private members club where we put a lot of bonus episodes up and so on. It's great fun. Check it out. Otherwise, just come back here next week. We'll be back with another episode, and we will see you then. Goodbye.